Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Casey Porter here by myself here on a Sunday evening. So, hey, if you got any Dodgers fans out there that don't have anything else better to do, tell them to come on over to Dodgers Dogs and let's talk Dodgers baseball. I'm going to give you all my thoughts on how the 40-man roster sets up, how it compares. You know, we had the big Rule 5 draft show on Friday evening. Austin's going to talk quite a bit more about that tomorrow evening. Again, just a reminder that the Dodgers have to have all of their players protected from the Rule 5 draft by Tuesday. What does that mean? That means that any player that is eligible for the Rule 5 draft, if they don't want them to be a part of that draft or be eligible to get drafted in the Rule 5, then they have to put them on the 40-man roster by Tuesday. So we went over all those guys on Friday night in depth. Go check out that show if you're still interested in who those guys may be. So we set that up to get to tonight's show, which is going to go through the entire 40-man roster and how all these things fit together, how many players the Dodgers can protect from the Rule 5, how many players can they go get in free agency via trade or free agency or trade to build the roster to win yet another world championship. So this is going to be a whole lot of fun for tonight's show as we get everything going. I am super excited for it. I can't wait to talk some great Dodgers baseball. Orlando has already joined history man Jeffrey Graham. Thank you so much for joining tonight. Yes, give Matt Kemp a ring. Matt Kemp, by the way, is from Oklahoma. He's from Midwest City, Oklahoma, the same school that the Oklahoma State head baseball coach is from. Mike Gundy, he's also from the same school district of JT Realmuto. Hey, Craig Osterberg, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate you joining on Dodgers Dogs here on Sunday night. We had a wonderful crowd Friday evening. That was so fun talking about all of those prospects on the Rule 5. I know it was long. It was almost 2 hours, but we just had a bunch of guys to cover. We'll cut parts of that out, make it a little bit more digestible for you. But we wanted to make sure and throw that all out there. So let's get to tonight's show. The first thing that I wanted to do here is that I wanted to show you, if I can get it up. Let me actually see if I can figure out a way. I don't think I can. Let me make a new scene here. Give me just a second here, and I'm going to see if I can put a new display capture out there and see if I can't capture a window here and see if I can't figure this out. Give me 1 second here and see if I can't. Yeah, right there. Okay. So let me do this right here. Okay. Cut that over. Okay. So we got that. What you're looking at right here, this is really, really high-tech stuff. This is the Dodgers 40-man roster. Now, why do we want to look at this? These are all the guys that are on here. Let me get to kind of how this thing is shaping up for me. And free agency via or trade, this is exactly how I would do this. Now, I'm going to talk to Billy Gasparino tomorrow. I won't ask him any specific questions. Obviously, I will ask him just kind of some overall thoughts on how they go about building a roster. But we'll see what questions. I mean, I'm going to send the questions to him. And obviously, I never want to ask a question that somebody doesn't want to answer. But this is, you know, the moves that I would make if I was in charge. This is where I would go. So you're looking at the 40-man right here, Anthony Bonda, all the way from there down to Chris Taylor. These are the guys in the 40-man. Keep in mind that all your 60-day guys like River Ryan, like Kyle Hurt, like Emmett Sheehan, like Brusdar Graterol, they have to stay on the 40-man until spring training. So remember last year, Clayton Kershaw didn't sign until after spring training, until after the Dodgers could put all of those guys on the 40-man. So as I go through this, I'm going to leave this 40-man roster up on the screen so you can kind of just look through the names here and you can figure out for yourself which ones are on here, which ones you think might be DFA'd. I think there's maybe a couple of candidates, which guys might get traded as I go through all of this. So the 40-man right here that's on there, Brusdar Graterol, as far as the guys that will be on the 60-day, again, you can't remove them until spring training. That'd be Brusdar Graterol, Kyle Hurt, River Ryan, Emmett Sheehan, Gavin Stone. Okay, so if you look at the pitchers here, you've got Anthony Bonda, Ryan Brazier, Ben Kasperius, Nick Frasso, Tyler Glasnow, Tony Gonsolin, Brusdar Gratterall, Michael Grove, Edgardo Henriquez. Now, some people might say you could DFA Grove. One thing I think he has going for him is that he has options. Meaning, if you have 40 guys on your major league roster, you only have 26 spots. You need 14 guys on that 40-man that have options that can be sent down. We're going to talk about every single guy on the 40-man that does have options. Edgardo Henriquez, Brent Honeywell, Kyle Hurt, Landon Knack, Michael Kopech, Zach Loge, Dustin May, Bobby Miller, Evan Phillips, River Ryan, Emmett Sheehan, Gavin Stone, Alex Vesia, Justin Robleski, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Those are your pitchers. Here are your position players here on the right. ShoheiOhtani, Austin Barnes, Diego Cartaya, Fiducia, Will Smith, Mookie, Freddie, Gavin, Max, Miguel Rojas, Tommy Edman, James Outman, Andy Pages, Chris Taylor. So right there, okay, that is 37, okay? 60-day IL, Gratterall, Hurt, Ryan, Sheehan, Stone. So after that, that's 32 after you put those guys on the 60-day IL. So I personally think the Dodgers are going to add at least Jack Dreyer. I think they could add more than him because you have guys like Austin Gauthier, you have Cody Hosey, Ryan Ward, Jose Ramos, Yuniel Choi, Carlos Duran, Jose Rodriguez, maybe even like a Damon Keith, maybe a Jermaine Rosario, that type of deal. So let's get aggressive with this and say that the Dodgers add 3 from that list to their 40-man roster of the guys that are Rule 5 eligible. That puts you at 40 right there, okay? So, because remember, you can't take those 60-day guys off until spring training. So that puts you at 40. So then let's say that you trade Gavin Lux, that's 39. Let's say you remove Zach Loge, that's 38, okay? Let's say you DFA him. That puts you at 38, okay? You go get a Corbin Burns, you go get a Hassan Kim, that puts you back to 40. So then what I would do is then I would trade at least one more guy off of the 40-man roster, and then whatever prospects below that the Milwaukee Brewers would want that aren't on the 40-man, or maybe even a couple of more guys that are on the 40-man. If they want Diego Cartaya or somebody like that, if they want maybe a James Outman that's on the 40-man, or maybe even like a Tony Gonsolin or a Nick Frasso or a Ben Kasperius or somebody like that. But at least, I say that to say just at least one more 40-man guy, that opens up your spot for Devin Williams, right? And then also you need to re-sign Teo. So by the end of it, you're going to get 5 more spots at spring training with the 60 days. And so the options or might start down. Here are the guys on your 40-man that have the ability to be sent down. Remember we said of your 40-man, at least 14 of them have to have options to be sent down. So there's 17 total. Pages, Outman, Gonsolin, Miller, Grove, Kasperius, Cartaya, Frasso, Enriquez, Knack, Robo, Fiducia. Now, Gavin Lux also has options, but he's not going to get sent down. Okay, so then you have to add Teo and Kershaw. So if you pick up Corbin Burns, Hassan Kim, Devin Williams, that's 23 of your 26-man roster spots. So 3 left if you trade Lux for the following. And then you have all of those guys that we talked about. That's how it would all work. So I think you would have to trade Gavin Lux. You'd have to trade one more person from that 40-man roster. You add Teo, you add Kershaw, you pick up Burns, Hassan Kim, and Devin Williams. And then that's exactly how I would build this roster moving forward for this offseason. That's kind of where I'm at. I think at that point, I think the Dodgers have enough pitching as far as talent goes, but, I mean, let's look at it. ShoheiOhtani, do we really know what you're going to get out of him? I mean, he's coming back off of injury, right? Tyler Glasnow, I mean, great pitcher, right? That also leaves the question, are you going to sign Jack Flaherty? I would probably be a no on that. we'll see about that. But we'll have to move forward and see how the Dodgers go. Also, I mean, you could go get other guys. It doesn't have to be Corbin Burnes. I personally prefer Corbin Burnes because of the consistency. I like the durability. One thing about this Dodgers staff we just got into, okay, ShoheiOhtani, no clue how many innings you're going to get out of him. Tyler Glasnow has been hurt every single year. Didn't finish last year. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, man, he had the strain on the rotator cuff, right? I mean, I don't think that's ended up actually what it ended up being, but that was scary type stuff. Jack Flaherty has the back problems if you re-sign him, right? So going and signing a guy that brings you the durability of Corbin Burnes, I think is very smart. And then also the postseason excellence, which is probably the biggest standard of the Dodgers, I think is the other big-time aspect of it. And then also, he's a Cy Young guy. So sign him for his $200 million, bring him to the Dodgers. Because I'll say this, if you win 4 or 5 World Series championships, or 3 or 4, even 2 to 3, it's all worth it, man. I mean, the Dodgers need to, as all in as they have been to this point, there is no reason whatsoever to let the foot off the gas. I will say this, though, that you don't want to get into too many long-term contracts with guys that are going to not be good on the other side of the aging curve. So that's kind of where I'm up against like a Juan Soto, who's 26. I think at least half of that contract, he's already a bad defender. I think at least half that contract you're going to get maybe a league average hitter, and then you're paying him MVP type money for half of that. So, I mean, and here's another problem with Juan Soto for me, is if I want to re-sign Teo, who's a below average defender, and so if you go get Juan Soto, that puts Andy Pages in center, which to me, Andy Pages is a below average center fielder. I think he's quite a bit above average in right field because of the arm. It's where he's comfortable. I think that's what matches his skill set. So if you have Teo in left, Pages in center, and then Juan Soto in right field, you better damn sure score a lot of runs, because that's certainly not an elite defensive outfield that the Dodgers would be fielding. So I would be a no on Juan Soto for those very reasons right there. But then also Ha-Seong Kim, I just really love. I think the structure of the contract is going to mix. I think just the style of player. I think the Dodgers can afford to have another his type of winning baseball plays type of player, a bat-to-ball contact-oriented type player, a guy that's going to play good defense. And, so I talk about this all the time. The Teo Hernandezes, the Max Muncies, the guys that are going to hit home runs, likely to walk, and then also to strike out, the 3 true outcome type of guys. You need to have some of those guys because you need to be able to hit the home runs. You need the slug. Hey, what won the World Series? Yes, winning baseball plays won the World Series for the Dodgers. Yes, putting the ball in play won the World Series for the Dodgers. But it wasn't just that. It was also combined with the slug. The Dodgers were able to figure out how to first and third bunt, advance extra bases, throw guys out at home plate, play great defense, and then also hit home runs. So you've got to have guys that can hit home runs like Max Muncy and Teo Hernandez. But the World Series also showed us you've also got to have a couple of guys that can put the ball in play. And then you need to have some all-stars like the Dodgers have. So I think the Dodgers definitely can afford to have another offensive profile like a Ha-Seong Kim. I would prefer his offensive profile over a Willy Adames. I'm sure I'm going to get quite a bit of pushback from that because I'm sure a lot of Dodgers fans would rather have a Willy Adames, but that's fine. I mean, that's just kind of where I'm at in my thoughts on that position. I like those type of baseball players, and I think when you look at the lineup, ShoheiOhtani, 50-50. Dude can absolutely drop bombs. Mookie Betts. I mean, the dude can absolutely drop bombs. Until ShoheiOhtani came into the system, Mookie Betts, year after year after year, at every level, was at the top of the home run list for the Dodgers. And the reason why I know that is because like a guy like a Ryan Ward or an Andy Pages, or some years like a Brandon Lewis, I would have to like compare the entire system at every level who has the most amount of home runs. And Ryan Ward, like 2 years ago, it was him and Mookie Betts, right? And so Mookie Betts can hit home runs. We know Freddie Freeman can hit home runs. Teo Hernandez can hit home runs, right? Max Muncy can hit home runs. Will Smith can hit home runs. That's 6 guys that can absolutely drop bombs. And then whoever you put in center field or in right field, so if it's James Outman, we know he can hit bombs, okay? If it's Tommy Edman, okay, Tommy Edman can hit 10 or so home runs. I know we saw him hit more home runs than I think we thought he was going to in the postseason, but I think he's a guy that could hit you 10 or 15 home runs. So that's 6 guys right there that you have in your lineup that can absolutely drop bombs, okay? So now that leaves you room for a Tommy Edman. That leaves you room for a Ha-Seong Kim. And then, so like you've got Teo Hernandez, you've got Tommy Edman, you've got, let's go through the lineup, left to right. Teo Hernandez, Tommy Edman, Andy Pages, let's say Andy Pages, James Outman, platoon in right field, okay? Then you got Max Muncy at third, you've got Ha-Seong Kim at short, you got Mookie Betts at second, you got Freddie Freeman at first, you got Will Smith catching, ShoheiOhtani DHing. So really out of that entire lineup that I just listed, you have 2 guys that are your bat to ball, winning baseball plays, move the runner, hit behind runners, first and third safety squeeze type bunt plays. And without Ha-Seong Kim, I think you only have one really true offensive profile like that. Because if you add an Andy Pages and a James Outman and they platoon in right field, those guys are going to swing and miss. Teo Hernandez is going to swing and miss. Max Muncy is going to swing and miss. If you add Willy Adames, he is going to swing and miss, right? So I think I say this all the time, that, of course, if you can go get a Hall of Fame type player like a ShoheiOhtani, you don't hesitate. If you can go get a Mookie Betts right there towards the end, if you can go get a Freddie Freeman, it doesn't matter if they fit. None of that matters. What type of offensive player, or hey, if you can go get that kind of player and it makes sense to you structurally from your contracts perspective and how it works into your payroll, then it doesn't matter what kind of fit they are. But on the margins, I think it does. And so I think from a offensive profile perspective, from a fit perspective, I think Ha-Seong Kim fits better than Willy Adames. I think the Dodgers need another one of his type of offensive players. You put him down there towards, you can either put him wherever you want, but I would assume that, can you imagine having him and Tommy Edman at the bottom of your lineup? Boy, that'd be pretty darn good right there. I mean, that would be pretty darn special, in my opinion. Because then what that allows you to do, that allows you to try to work in a guy in right field that might swing and miss a little bit more, right? If you add a swing and miss guy at shortstop and then also a swing and miss guy in right field, you already have a swing and miss guy at left field. You already have a swing and miss guy at third base, right? I mean, now what if Will Smith and Mookie Betts go in a slump? Now we're talking about that just roller coaster ride back and forth. You need some guys with some bat to ball skills profiles to even those things out. I think we saw that the Dodgers winning on the margins in the World Series, and I think that's at least one of the reasons that got them over the top. Another reason they got over the top is that their bullpen was very good. Blake Trinan was fantastic. I don't think the Dodgers should go into 2025 with their plan that Blake Trinan is their closer, right? I think they squarely showed that they didn't trust Michael Kopech to throw enough strikes. So the problem with Michael Kopech that I saw, I don't think Dave Roberts trusted him to throw enough strikes in the high leverage situations. And beyond that, he didn't have a secondary pitch that he could, definitely didn't have a secondary pitch that he could throw for consistent strikes as well. So could he eventually be the closer? Well, he would have to develop a cutter or a slider or something that he could land in the zone 50% or better. He was nowhere close to that towards the end of this last year. Matter of fact, he struggled enough just to get his fastball in the zone. So, yes, could Michael Kopech eventually become the closer? No doubt. He definitely has the stuff. Should the Dodgers just say, slam dunk, he's our closer, forget it, we're closing the book on that position, he's it, we're not going to go try to search out anybody else? Absolutely not. That is not how I would approach that. I would go search out a guy that, and I've said this many different times, hey, go get the biggest 3 outs, not necessarily the last 3. I think that's who Blake Trinan and Evan Phillips needs to be next year. I said that from the beginning this year. There were a lot of people back in May and June that were hollering from the mountaintops that Evan Phillips needs to be the closer. Evan Phillips needs to be the closer. Then there was Michael Kopech needs to be the closer. And I've got receipts. You can go back to every show that we had. I kept saying Evan Phillips needs to get the biggest 3 outs of the game because the Dodgers don't have enough depth right now just to be able to say Evan Phillips is the 9th inning guy. To hell with the rest of it. What happens if you give up 4 runs in the 6th inning and you're already down 4 by the time you get to the 9th, right? We saw how the Dodgers get the lead and win as fast as you can. We saw that philosophy. So let's add a rung to that. Let's get the lead and win as fast as we can by getting the lead and then having Evan Phillips for a huge 3 outs in the 6th inning and then having Blake Trinan for a huge 3 outs in the 8th inning, having a Michael Kopech for a huge 3 outs in the 7th inning, and then having Devin Williams to get the last 3 outs of every game. Probably the best closer in the game right now. And I know the Milwaukee Brewers said, hey, we're not trading Devin Williams. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, right. I can't tell you how many times I've heard somebody isn't going to do something in professional sports, and literally they did the exact opposite. So if Milwaukee comes out and says, man, we can't wait to trade Devin Williams. Of course, I know they won the NL Central last year and they ran away with it. And they're going to have another good team this year. Okay, but they're going to lose Willy Adames likely for nothing. At the end of this year, they're likely going to lose Devin Williams for nothing. And they have traded, at least tried to trade all of their good players, with a year in advance. Okay, so my point on Devin Williams is I think the Dodgers have the ability to go get him. I know the Dodgers don't like to cash in all their chips for a reliever. I think he is worth it. I think if you add him to Blake Trinan, to Evan Phillips, to Michael Kopech, to Alex Vesia, to Anthony Bonda, to Ryan Brazier, to maybe if we can get Brusdar Graterol back in the middle of next year, if Dustin May ends up being maybe a reliever as things move on. If you add him to all of those guys, now, we talked about the A-team bullpen. Your A-team would be 6th inning Evan Phillips, 7th inning Michael Kopech, 8th inning Blake Trinan, and then 9th inning you got Devin Williams. Your B-team guys would be Ryan Brazier, Anthony Bonda, Alex Vesia. You might try to sprinkle in one of those lefties into the A-team if you need to do that. And then maybe a Brusdar Graterol or a Dustin May as both of those guys prove whether they're healthy or not. And then whoever gets the last 3 outs of that game depends on who hasn't thrown back-to-back nights. So, these guys can throw 2 out of 3 nights. So, if, say, Devin Williams hasn't he's only thrown 1 night before that, then he could get the last 3 outs. If he's thrown the last 2 nights, then one of those four between Evan Phillips, Blake Trinan, Michael Kopech, and Williams will not have thrown back-to-back nights, and whoever that person is will be the one that gets the last 3 outs. I think he slam dunks your bullpen. I think Corbin Burns goes right to the top of your rotation, not necessarily because he has better stuff than anybody you have, but because he has been super, super durable. He does have great stuff. He is a Cy Young type of guy, and he has shown up in the playoffs. So there's a certain amount of stability he can bring you. And so now you have Corbin Burns, Tyler Glasnow, ShoheiOhtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and whoever else, right, that can get into that rotation. So your starting rotation now has, so what it had last year was a lot of talent, but it had volatility, meaning, okay, well, can we actually get that talent on the mound and get them throwing innings for us, which we saw at times and we didn't see at times. And so I think if you add that guy with durability to the top that can give you 120, 130, 140 innings like a Corbin Burns could do, Tyler Glasnow comes back, Yamamoto, ShoheiOhtani, Dustin May comes back, a Tony Gonsolin comes back, man, you name it. As we go through the list of pitchers, then you're, who knows when Nick Frost will be back. You still have a Ben Kasparius. You've got a guy like a Landon Knack. Kyle Hurt might be back about halfway through this season. Of course, River Ryan is done, I think, for the full season. Emmett Sheehan might be back for about half the season. Gavin Stone. And then you got a guy like a Justin Robleski that can be depth again, right? So I think those are the moves I would make. I went over the 40-man roster, how it would work. Even if you added as many as 3 of the guys that we talked about on Friday that are eligible for the Rule 5 draft for the Dodgers, I still think that you can easily go get Devin Williams, Corbin Burns, Ha-Seong Kim, re-sign Teo, and re-sign Clayton Kershaw. Add Clayton Kershaw. Maybe he's your 5th starter, right? I mean, that's I mean, there's just so much depth and so many options there. So when you look at, you're adding durability, you're adding predictability in terms of can we actually get the guys on the mound to the talent you've had pitching wise. You're adding a closer to your bullpen. You're adding another bat to ball guy at a position of premium at shortstop. You're adding 3 guys there that would be absolute total clubhouse guys. You're re-signing Teo that everybody wants. You're bringing back the Hall of Famer in Clayton Kershaw. Call it a good night, boys, and let's go win back-to-back World Series. That's where I'm at here. So, hey, we have a great show. Great lobby logging in right now. Craig Osterberg, Jeffrey, thank you so much for joining this evening. Orlando, thank you so much for the wonderful compliment. The Rule 5 show is very informative. Great episode. Thank you so much. Hey, Sammy Boy Smith, Mets just offered Soto $660 million. Let him go. He feels like a Met anyways. Let Steve Cohen outbid whoever he wants to outbid for Juan Soto. Again, I'm going to say it. Teo Hernandez, I want him back. Below average defender. Andy Pages, below average in center field, in my opinion. Okay, I think that showed on all of the metrics last year. And then if you had a below average defender in right field, you have a very not good defensive outfield. Okay, and then who knows what nights Andy Pages and Teo aren't going to hit. I just don't think Juan Soto's bat even makes up for that. So let Steve Cohen offer whatever he wants for Juan Soto and let him go. Plus, who knows if he would fit in the clubhouse. I'm not going to use the term cancer. I don't know. I have never been around Juan Soto. I know he played for the Padres. I do like some of the competitive parts of the way that he acts. I don't like all of the showboat stuff, but I've been around the game long enough to know that doesn't always mean that you put yourself in front of the team. That also means that sometimes you can put the focus on you, so the pressure's on you, so the rest of the team can relax. I know head coaches do that a lot. When they feel like their players are kind of getting crapped on by the media, they feel like their assistant coaches are getting crapped on by the media, they'll do something that's kind of controversial to draw attention to them. Then all of a sudden now everybody's mad at them and not everybody around them. So who knows? I can't say one way or the other about Juan Soto, but I can say about the defense. Hey, Orlando agree that Zach Loge is likely to be DFA'd. I would agree with that. Cole says Cartaya or Fiducia. Which one would I rather catch? I would catch Hunter Fiducia every day and twice on Sundays right now. I think he's more major league ready. I think if you put him in the right situations to where he's facing high velo fastballs, plus he swings from the left side, his swing is flatter. He has one thing that he can do better to me offensively. Like Cartaya right now, if you say, what is it that he hangs his hat on? I couldn't tell you. I can tell you right now, Hunter Fiducia can hang his hat on hitting high velo fastballs. That's because his swing is so flat and it's from the left side. So I would choose Hunter Fiducia over Diego Cartaya if it was my choice. Now, in a trade market, I think Diego Cartaya would bring more value than Hunter Fiducia, which is a perfect case scenario for the Dodgers. Because if somebody wants Diego, I think he would be a guy that the Dodgers definitely would listen for. I think Gavin Lux is probably the odd man out here as well, and we've talked about that. I think that's a perfect case scenario for everybody. Sammy Boy Smith, Cartaya, and CT3 for Belly. Yeah, I don't necessarily want Cody Bellinger back. I think part of what made Bellinger good again was the different environment he got in. I think it got stale here in Los Angeles. I think he didn't see eye to eye on a certain amount of things. I think Belly likes to do things a certain amount his way. And because of that, I think there was a little bit of butting heads. And I don't think that's not a knockdown to him. That's not a knockdown to this wonderful Dodgers organization that has built a dynasty. That's just simply to say sometimes players and athletes need a different scenery. They need different scenery around them. And I think Cody Bellinger definitely is in that category. Also, Bobby Miller is a guy that will vie for that fifth starting spot. So, again, I'm going to say it. I mean, I know you're going to say, hey, DFA, Michael Grove, DFA, all these. The problem is if if somebody has options, meaning so you have 40 men on your roster, only 26 of them can be on your active roster. That tells you right there that at least 14 guys on your 40-man roster have to have minor league options. That's what makes a Michael Grove valuable to this club, is that they can send him down to AAA Oklahoma City. At least that's one of the things. One of the reasons why he's still around, right, is because if you go get a similar type pitcher to Michael Grove that, say, is a major league veteran and has no minor league options, now you're getting Michael Grove type of output on a major league roster without the ability to send him down to the minor leagues. So, again, 14 guys have to have minor league options. I counted, I think, 18 if you count Gavin Lux, but Gavin Lux is not going down. And so you have to have enough guys, like a Brent Honeywell, no options. That's a guy that better pitch well or he's gone. Because if he has to stay on your 26-man roster at all times, and if he's not giving you good production, he is really putting the club in a difficult situation. So a guy like Brent Honeywell, that's why he gets DFA'd, because he doesn't have minor league options, right? Zach Loge, I think that's probably you're right there, Orlando, that I don't think he's out of here. I think he would get DFA'd, and likely he would probably clear waivers. At this point, who knows? I don't know Zach Loge well enough to know how that would work out. And so we would have to see what would happen there, but I would agree. I don't think they have to do that right now, though. I think I went through the whole entire scenario where you can go get Devin Williams, you can go get Hassan Kim, you can get Corbin Burns, re-sign Teo Hernandez, and you can also sign Clayton Kershaw, which Clayton Kershaw, again, could sign his contract after spring training started. Again, and so you can wait until you can put one of your 60-day ILs. You can take them off of your 40-man, right? So he could wait to do that. So I went through the scenario where you can keep all those guys and put as many as 3 guys from your Rule 5 list, the Jack Dryers, the Ryan Wards, the Jose Ramoses, the Cody Hosies, those guys. You can do all that and stay under the limit. If you trade a Gavin Lux and trade a couple of guys here and there, you can do that. So I think the Dodgers will wait and see with a guy like that, what they have to do as far as the DFA train. But again, even if they do DFA him, there's a good chance that they get him back. Cole, they could DFA Honeywell. Let's be honest. He likely clears waivers and can then be picked back up by the Dodgers. Yes, and signed to a minor league contract at that point. Cole, Ohtani will not be ready to start the year after his shoulder surgery. That's kind of what I'm talking about. The Dodgers don't just need to go get a reliable, a talented guy. We have plenty of talented guys. The Dodgers need to get somebody that, at least if you were to say, what has this guy always been? Somebody that you can say, we can rely on this dude to go out and post every time that it's time to take the ball. So that dependability to me is a big factor as far as who the Dodgers go and get. I think it's as big a factor. Of course, it's not my money, but I'm of the opinion the Dodgers are pretty much swimming in money now that they have basically, well, I'm going to release tomorrow at noon, my conversation with Hyunil Choi, the Dodgers minor league pitcher of the year in 2021. He'll point blank tell you he's from South Korea. And I know that Ohtani is from Japan. He'll tell you, though, that Ohtani's just the biggest sensation in Korea as he is Japan. So by the Dodgers, I mean, they're swimming in money from everywhere around the world. Before they won the World Series, they were. Now that they've won the World Series, I mean, roster spots are that, and like actually not pinning yourself into 2 long-term deals, and then also the durability. Don't get guys that are injury prone like you've done in the past that, yeah, they're talented, but they're not there come July, right? So I think that the durability should play a big factor too. Hey, Gregory, our wonderful moderator, good evening. Casey, are you starting Bobby Miller, or are you going to make him middle relief? I start him all the way. I think he has. So with Bobby Miller, he has 6 pitches, right? And whenever he throws them right, they were all 6 of them metrically or elite pitches. I think that's the blessing and the curse of Bobby Miller. I think I've said this 2 or 3 times. Oh, I've said it a lot more times than that. Even dating back to Tulsa, I've got receipts of it. Just look at my social media. I think Bobby Miller needs to figure out what are his 2 best pitches, and he needs to dominate with those 2 best pitches. He needs to throw them for 60 in the zone 65% of the time. I was talking to Jacob Metter. I'm going to release his interview on Wednesday. I asked him point blank, is there like a target that Dodgers pitchers try to hit with their fastball? He said 65%. And so that's why I always say the 60%, because that's a little bit lower than that, right? And so get Bobby Miller 2 pitches that he can land in the zone 60% of the time that don't get ambushed and hit very hard. Find what those 2 pitches are, and then find a 3rd pitch that can be a swing and miss pitch. And then his 4th and 5th pitches just need to be just kind of change the speeds every now and then. Just get me overs, right? Those types of deals. And so right now, to me, Bobby Miller is trying to use all 6 pitches in a way that just, you don't know which pitch is the dominant one. You don't know what his go-to is. You don't know what the go-to sequences are. You don't know when the crap hits the fan. What can he reach back and rely on? What tunnels are working? So when you're trying to throw that many pitches, you never know what is reliable for you on any one given night. So I'm of the opinion that Bobby Miller needs to be a starter, and he needs to be a guy that finds his 2 most dominant pitches. To me, that would be his 2-seam and his changeup. I think, because 2-seam turns right and drops a little bit. Changeup turns right and drops a little bit. So if you throw that 2-seam at 98, 99, you start the change up in the same tunnel, but it drops and is 10 miles an hour slower. I think he could dominate with those two pitches and then sprinkle in his curveball or slider as the not have to throw it for a strike, get swing and miss type pitch, and then sprinkle in the rest of it as get me overs. And I think he would be, I think he could possibly be an elite starting pitcher. But again, I just 6 pitches and trying to throw all of them as much as he does is just a little bit too much for me. Hey, Yasiel Puig, Maddox Bruns was 19 on the day of the 2021 draft. Does that mean he's eligible for the Rule 5? No, Maddox Bruns is not eligible for the Rule 5 draft this year. He is not one of them on the list. Boy, what a great crowd we have logging in. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate everybody for logging in. It's so humbling every time I come on here and we have all of these wonderful, wonderful fans. Hey, Orlando, I'm not really in love with any of these free agents this offseason. Yeah, you don't like Corbin Burns? I do. I like Corbin Burns. I like Ha-Seong Kim because of the fit part of it. Cole Adames struck out looking to end the 2020 World Series. I want the guy not afraid to swing at the ball right down the middle. Yeah. BC, good evening. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah. Hey, Jeffrey Graham, thank you so much. Jeffrey likes Ha-Seong Kim as well. Gregory, yeah, no doubt. Please hit that like button if you have not done so. And then also, not just on the chat section here, leave a comment on the regular video. Jay, Casey's making a very compelling case for Ha-Seong Kim. You know, he's my kind of guy, Jay. And you got to keep in mind, guys, let me make an admission here, okay? If you can't tell, we love covering the prospects. That Rule 5 draft show on Friday, I mean, we just went on and on and on and on, right? I mean, talking about these guys that we just love talking about so much. And so I posted the other day, let me actually get to my Twitter right here and I can read this. This is per Austin Brubaker, our wonderful analyst here on Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. So sit down, get some popcorn, and listen to this, okay? Matter of fact, let me put this up on the screen where you can read it yourself, and let me get this over, and we can see if we can get this up. Give me 1 second here. Let me see if I can find it. Maybe I can, maybe I can't. If not, then we will go on, and maybe we can't. Hold on 1 second here. Nope, can't find it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and read it anyways, and you're just going to have to deal with me. When I'm by myself, sometimes it's clunky. I apologize for that. So sorry about that, but here we go. Okay, so WAR. Okay, wins above replacement. So how do you use that to evaluate rookies? It's a result of ability and playing time. It does not take into account the year or projection of players. So like for Andy Pages, he had exactly a 100 WRC plus, which means he was exactly league average, and he was slightly below average defensively. That's because, in my opinion, he was playing center field instead of right field. And so in the end, he had a 1.3 WAR, which is a little bit lower than I think probably an outfielder you want about a 2-point WAR, right? So you might say, well, Dodgers rookie struggle. See, Andy Pages didn't do good, right? Okay, well, yeah, that's compared to all the other right fielders, all the other outfielders. That's not compared to the other rookies. So for it to be apples to apples, you have to compare Andy Pages to the other rookies. So Andy Pages actually was a better than average rookie hitter. And then he also put those numbers while playing, again, out of position. Most rookie hitters struggle to put up league average numbers. Andy Pages did that. Okay, so yes, when you compare Andy Pages to all the other outfielders, his WAR metrics were a little bit lower. But when you compare him to all the other rookies, he actually was top 25 in all of baseball in position player WAR for rookies. Michael Busch, who the Dodgers traded away, he was top 15. So another fun fact about Dodgers rookie hitters, since 2015, the Dodgers have given the 6th fewest plate appearances to rookie hitters. So the Dodgers as a rookie, I've been saying this forever, it's very hard for rookie position players to get comfortable because there's just not very many opportunities. 6th fewest plate appearances for rookie hitters of any organization in baseball. So despite that, rookie hitters for the Dodgers have put up the 2nd highest WRC plus and the 3rd highest WAR. Since 2022, the Dodgers have given the fourth lowest plate appearances to rookie hitters, and despite that, they put up the sixth highest WRC plus. So the narrative that the Dodgers are great at producing pitchers but not position players is patently false. Okay, that's absolutely not true. So I just wanted to get that out with an Andy Pages type of guy, that an Andy Pages could be. He was better than all the other rookies out there. I think he could raise his WAR metrics. And then, so when you look at that, that's the situation that you would have in right field. Of course, we know that James Outman, whenever he had his full entire season, he posted a above 4 WAR out there. So, hey, yeah, definitely making compelling case for Ha-Seong Kim. He is my type of player. I like those winning baseball plays type of players. Hey, History Man agrees that first thought that comes to mind about Willie Damas and Alex Verdugo was that they're the last out of the Dodgers championships. Yep. Hey, Sammy Boy Smith, what about Bo? Bo doesn't whiff. His upside and ability is still there. Just his range has dropped. I'm sure you're talking about Bo Bichette, and I don't know what it would take to go get him. I don't know what the Blue Jays would want for him. And to be honest with you, I haven't seen a whole lot of Bo Bichette. I have seen a lot of Ha-Seong Kim. I think Ha-Seong Kim would check every box for the Dodgers. Financially, structure of the contract, culture, position he fills, offensive profile, defensive metrics. I think Ha-Seong Kim checks every box. So I went in that long spiel about Andy Pages. I wanted to just kind of get off on that tangent to show you that the Dodgers develop offensive players very well. But why did I do that? Because I want you to understand that we love these prospects here at Dodgers Daily, okay? That's what we enjoy covering. And so when I say go get a Ha-Seong Kim and a Tommy Edman and that means that there's fewer opportunities for these prospects. That's not natural for me to do. But because I love the Dodgers so much, I mean, I love the prospects, but I love the Dodgers more, right? So I say that to say, when I suggest go get a Ha-Seong Kim, okay, I'm pretty strong on it, because otherwise I'd be saying play Alex Freeland there, or last year it would have been kept Trey Sweeney. I was all for the Dodgers moving Trey Sweeney. I have receipts of that. So when I say that, I am saying that I'm putting that guy above prospects that we love covering. I think that's pretty obvious here. That's how convicted I am on a guy like that. So, hey, Jeffrey Graham, I like free agent signing and save the trade pieces for midseason emergencies. I don't like that anymore, Jeffrey, and I would have agreed with you until they added the wild card round. Now that they've added the wild card round, there's so many teams that are still in it. You know, I mean, you can be having pretty much a bad year and still be within 4 or 5 games of the wild card. And so it's harder for owners to convince their fans that they need to be sellers. So there's a bigger gray area between buyer and sellers, which means now the market at the trade deadline is so bloated. I mean, it is so seller heavy. It's overpriced immensely because of that extra wild card round, which only makes what the Dodgers did last year that much more incredible. I mean, the White Sox just absolutely, I don't know. It's amazing what the Dodgers were able to do, especially getting a Tommy Edman, a Michael Kopech, a Jack Flaherty, and all those guys in that climate. So I would have agreed with you a couple years ago. I am a trade in the offseason type guy now because I think the market is better. Hey, J.O., the bullpen described is A team and 1A team. Yes, the Dodgers have the pieces to do that. Why not? Do it. You're already all in. Let's stay all in. Keep the pedal on the metal. You know, Dave Roberts, his comment, I was scared to death to come back to Los Angeles. Now, whether he actually meant that, what he actually was saying was, I wanted to keep my foot on the pedal because if you lose momentum, man, you never know when you're going to stop and come to a halt, right? Don't stop this momentum. Keep the pedal down. Go get Devin Williams. Go get Ha-Seong Kim. Go get Corbin Burns. Go re-sign Teo. Bring in Clayton Kershaw to be that Hall of Famer in the dugout, that kind of thing. Hey, Jeffrey Graham, Dustin May needs to be in the pen. Hey, Larry Partridge, River Ryan not expected to pitch in 25, correct. Bob Student 10, no thank you, Casey, and please hit that like button. No thank you is what he's saying, Bob Student 10. Hey, Tommy, thank you so much, Bob Student 10. You are just such a wonderful part of this Dodgers Daily community. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. Hey, and Ha-Seong Kim for a cost-effective shortstop mid-season. Go get him right now is my point on that. And that way you know you need to move on Gavin Lux and whoever it is, and you know what the roster needs to do to get to 40. And then keep in mind, once spring training starts, you're going to dump the 5 guys like the Gavin Stones, the Brusdar Gratteralls, the Emmett Sheehan's, the Kyle Hurts that are going to be on the 60 days. But you can't do that until then. So you got to figure out how to do the 40-man before then. Hey, Jeffrey Grant, good night, y'all. I'll watch the rest tomorrow morning. Thank you so much for joining. Jeffrey, you've been a wonderful part of tonight's show. Hey, Bob Student 10, who do we give up to get Crochet? I think if you went and got Garrett Crochet, I think then you go get Luis Robert Jr. as well. Now you're looking at like a Bobby Miller. You're looking at probably like a River Ryan. You're looking at like a Dalton Rushing. You're looking at packages like that. So I think you can go get Corbin Burns and not have to give up that package, right? I think you can. So if you do that, if you put all your chips in on Garrett Crochet, now how do you go get that starting pitcher and the closer? I think if you get the starting pitcher in free agency, who's sitting right there in front of you, now you still have all your chips to go get the closer too that's sitting right in front of you in Devin Williams, of which, again, I know the Milwaukee Brewers said they don't want to move on, but again, that's just business. That's just them trying to play the leverage game. So, hey, BC, nobody about to retire, nobody claimed off waivers. Hey, Rumar Spencer, thank you so much for joining. I would like us to re-sign Teo. Yeah, we all do. Add some starting pitching, Corbin Burns, and get healthy, Tyler Glasnow. That's all I want my Dodgers to do. Rumar, J.O. Dodgers always want to do well versus the Brewers. They always do well versus the Brewers. History Man. Hey, Roy Song, History Man, we'll get to you here in just a second. Actually, let's do that right now. Wouldn't have really noticed it if we had not been on the Dodgers this season. I'm not sure exactly who we're talking about. Hey, Ela Shiva, great to see your live podcast. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, here's History Man that I was trying to get to. Hey, funny thing happened last night. I was looking through some of my baseball card collection, particularly the 2017 Topps set, and saw a Teo Hernandez rookie card from when he was with the Astros. Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, that was a good-looking card, too, he said. So Orlando, Gratterall to the 60-day after spring training will open up a spot late. Yes, all of those guys, Kyle Hurt, Gavin Stone, Emmett Sheehan, they will all open up a 60-man spot, but not until then. So you got to figure out what to do until then. Hey, BC, Corbin isn't made of glass. That's why I'm afraid Dodgers won't go for him. But see, that's why I do want him to go for him, because he will post. Right? Hey, Roy Song, again, coming through. Thank you so much. Hey, hi, Casey. Do you think Gonsolin is one of our starters? Or in the bullpen, I think he's going to be a starter. I think he's going to get that probably one of the first dibs at that 5th spot, especially with Gratterall out the first part of 2025. I would move Dustin May to the pen just because I think his stuff's nastier. I think he could be a Blake Trinan type bullpen arm. And I think you have the room to start a Tony Gonsolin. And Tony Gonsolin's profile of pitches is so different than everybody else. I think some of that, of course, I know he has a split finger, and so does Yoshinobu Yamamoto. But if he's your 5th starter, I mean, you're going to have Yamamoto as your 2nd starter and then him as your 5th starter. That's quite a bit of ways from each other. So I like the profile of Gonsolin being different than other guys. I like the profile of Dustin May out of the pen. And then I like the fact that Dustin May, Landon Knack, Justin Robleski, Ben Kasparius, all those guys are depth, right? I mean, damn, you're in good shape right there, right? Hey, Rumar Spencer, Bobby Miller got a lot of work to do with his pitching techniques. He has struggled big time this year. He's got to find a way to be consistent, and with his pitching, a lot of improvement to do. I mentioned what I think he needs to do, I think he needs to shrink, get good at a couple of things, and then add from there. Hey, Cole, Casey, do you think Lux is being moved around position wise coupled with the injury derailed his career? No. I think it slowed his career down in terms of getting comfortable. I do think that injury was a much bigger deal last year than people thought. So I will say, I know for a fact that trying to learn a new position at the major league level did slow down the development of Gavin Lux. But my response to that is, you play for the Dodgers. I mean, it just is what it is. You know, go field a ground ball, throw it to first base like he did this year. So those are great points, Cole. And I would say I'm agreeing with your sentiment that it slowed his progress down. I think what I would disagree with, as far as the way that you stated it, was derailed his career. I would say that Gavin Lux had a very good second half of the season, and I think he's primed to be a starting second baseman for somebody for the foreseeable future. So I don't think it derailed his career. I do think that it slowed down his progress. Hey, Roy Song, Ha-Seong Kim would be a great addition. I totally agree. Ila Shiba, does Outman have enough value to be part of a trade package? No doubt. Now, he wouldn't be the headliner, but if he's one of the, like in a boxing night, you have or like you go to a concert and you have your main show and you have all the bands that come out first. If he's one of those bands that come out first, he's not the headliner of it. Hell yeah. I mean, he had put up a 4.1 WAR at the major league level. He came in, second rookie of the year. Absolutely, he has value. Now, does he have value for a plug-and-play guy that, like a Corbin Burns, that's ready to be a top-shelf major leaguer at this very second? No. But he does have value at the back end of a trade deal, no doubt. Hey, Ila Shiba, is it 100% certainty that Lux will be traded? No, nothing's 100% until it actually happens, but I think the writing's on the wall. Mookie Betts will be the second baseman, so, I mean, unless you make him depth, I don't know what you'd do with him. Hey, Ken Warm, Casey, what about Tanner Scott and Nick Pivetta? I don't like the fact that I think Tanner Scott would be more expensive in terms of length. I think that's what I would like about Devin Williams the most. Hey, Sammy Boy Smith. So that would be why I would go for Devin Williams over Tanner Scott. Sammy Boy Smith, Kim and Edmund, both Korean. Yeah. Hey, really? Okay. I guess I didn't realize that part of it. That's awesome, though. Hey, Chaka, Ila Shiba, this is one of my many accounts. I know you from Valhalla. Oh, awesome. Hey, Gregory, please smash that like button. No doubt about that. So, hey, those are my thoughts. Again, as we move on with this, I'm going to kind of rehash this. We are just about to finish this thing, and I'm going to go back over this. So if you add as many as 3 guys from your Rule 5 list, like the Ryan Wards, the Cody Hosies, the Jack Dryers, the Jose Ramoses, that has to be done by Tuesday, okay? So I think you can add as many as 3 of those. Re-sign Teo, re-sign Clayton. Go sign Ha-Seong Kim, Devin Williams, and Corbin Burns. That is my offseason. That would be my wish list as we get to the holiday season. And as we move forward, if anybody asks me, which they don't, that would be the off season. That would be striking gold as far as I'm concerned. So thank you so much for tuning in to Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Can't thank everybody else enough. One last reminder, hit that like button, smash that like button, leave a comment, not just in the chat here, leave a comment in the comment section. And if you haven't done so yet, hit that notification button. So whenever we do go live, you'll be notified and you can head on over in the chat. So until next time, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and say, go Dodgers. It's a great day to be a Dodger.